right, well, greetings everyone, and welcome back to another video. Today I am up here in Hamburg, Pennsylvania, and I'm actually visiting a place that I wanted to visit for a while now, but never really had the chance to or didn't take the time to, and I drove by it hundreds of times already passing through this area. But I am going to be taking a tour of the Reading Railroad Museum that is up here in Hamburg. And I am not alone. I am joined with some of my fellow YouTubers. Jay with JP Videos is here, Jamie Macon, RJ with RJ78 Productions, and Nick from Nick's Crossing is here with us. So this should be a fun day. This place is supposed to have a lot of information about the Reading Railroad, so I'm sort of excited to do this. They also have a gift shop here. So God only knows what I'll buy in the gift shop once I get in there and everything, but should be a fun time. So let's get started and go inside the building here and start checking things out at the Reading Railroad Museum.
Which one, the black one? No,
Wait a minute.
603, 604.
Try to set the hook on another one.
300. 902. It's the Reading Line one. It's identical to the one in Steamtown. Nevers? Maryland.
And a track racer too.
Oh, yeah, I need one of those.
I bought the one he had all torn apart. So we followed the 611 on Saturday, and we went to his place Saturday evening and picked this stuff up. I was driving a Dodge Durango. All the components fit in the back of the Durango, except for the big disc, the base, was strapped back to the roof rack.
Oh my God.
Got the tarp.
So right there you can see some of the old signs that they had on the train stations out in Hummelstown, Tuckerton, and Reinhold's. But this is where you come in from the gift shop out there. And we'll take a walk over here and just check out some of the artifacts that they have on display. And then right here, you can see this was an old style dispatch console that they used back in the day. A lot different than the computer ones they have now, but there's all the dials and knobs for the switches. And there you can see there was an operator, probably of this one. And then they have a little information screen here telling you about how they worked at the towers, flipped the switches and everything. So this one here was actually used at the Lebanon Valley Junction Control Tower, and that's actually over in the borough of Wyomissing. Today was where that tower was. You can see it if you're traveling down Route 422, or otherwise known as the West Shore Bypass. If you look up, you can see that building is still there yet today, but no longer in use. And I don't think you can get access to it to go over there and film it. But this console was in that tower. And then here you can see some of the tools that they used. Inspector gauges and inspector tools, and big long track wrench right there that they used to bolt the tracks together, to tighten, used it to tighten the bolts up at the joints. Didn't have ribbon rail back then. And then this is just a map of all the lines through Pennsylvania. It even includes the former Pennsylvania lines. I think this is actually all of them. All the railroads that were in Pennsylvania in 1911. Here they got another model on display. I'm not quite sure of the gauge of this. I'll have to ask RJ or Nick or somebody will be able to tell me the gauge, because I only know N, HO, and O, and I think this is bigger than O gauge. And then in the back here is their Crusader engine that they had back in the day. I don't know too much about them, but Reading had one. And there's a picture of Reading Outer Station, which is not the outer station today where Reading and Blue Northern are, where they do their passenger excursions from. That was a different outer station. Here's some of the O gauge cars on display. Wish I had some of these. And there's just some more tools there. Some more pictures along the lines from back in the day. I'm not quite sure where they're at. They don't have any captions or anything on them, so I don't know where they're from. But there's a portrait of the 2102. You've seen that before. And then here is another model layout that they have. Don't have it running. All right, so they went and actually turned on one more of another engine here. Give you a look at that one as it's speeding by. And I'll see if I can get the camera down in there a little bit better. Give you a better shot of the one coming by here that you saw before. So here they have some more on display. I believe that's O gauge there. Not quite sure what this one is here. These are just some of the old style coach cars. And there's the Crusader. There's a post office car. And the 179 engine. All right, guys, so we're actually outside of the museum here, and we're going to be taking a walk outside here with a tour guide. And the group of us here is going to be getting a personal tour of the rail yard here at the museum.
Disjointed because we moved all this stuff around here. So I have everything in order here, but it's the old order. So we'll see what goes on.
Just wing it. You'll be fine.
Yeah, I am. I'm going to wing it.
We're not too critical, so.
Okay. The first place we're going to take a look at is our, what we call our display area. And that's when I talk a little bit about the freight cars. And, oh my gosh. The freight cars, you can clearly see that on the railroad or anything else, form follows the function. In other words, form of a particular freight car or a engine take follows its function, intended function. First example I always point out is the passenger car. What was that passenger car?
Cattle.
Cattle, right. That's what it was for. Carrying cattle. No, carrying passengers. And obviously, you know, it's got chairs and all that good stuff. Car behind it, the Reading and Northern car behind it, that is a open top hopper. And it's called a hopper car because a hopper car is loaded from the top and unloaded from the bottom. And you can see there are the hoppers right there. They are called hoppers. Okay, and then that's open top hopper. And that's used to carry coal and stone and things that don't need to be protected from the environment. The car behind it was at one time a open top hopper used to carry coal, but the Reading put a top on it, and it finished its life out after the Reading put the top on, carrying cocoa beans from Port Richmond to the Hershey plant up here in Hershey. But it's still loaded from the top. You can see the hatches on the top, and it's offloaded from the bottom. Okay, behind that now, hopper cars, especially the coal cars, they were very useful when everyone burned anthracite coal, because a town like, let's say, Hamburg had 2 or 3 coal dealers in it, but they all had trestles, and they would take the car, push the car up onto the trestle, and offload the coal that way, and would fall down through, and then trucks would pick up smaller loads of it to deliver to houses. Car behind that is a boxcar. That's a familiar car to all of us. That's used to protect the cargo inside. It can be anywhere from televisions and radios to automobiles to packaged, let's say, packaged animal food. Boxcars is used. It's for the protection of the cargo. These cars here have one, a yellow one. This one, that's a flat car, and more open top hopper cars. But these cars are called gondolas, and they are normally they are owned by the railroad, and they are used for everything. But they are loaded from the top and offloaded from the top. Right now, this car has our turntable in it, which will be put into our museum as soon as we get the room and the money for it. But you can see that the sides of the car are taken out, they're cut out, and when we're finished with it, we can put those sides back in if we have to. Car behind that, or passenger car, looks like that is that's a SEPTA car. It's a coach.
Yep.
Does not have a pantograph on it. I don't think it does, but the one behind it does have a pantograph. Now, each one of these locomotives and those cars are electrical. This carries the diesel engine runs a generator, which generates electricity to the traction motors. That gets its electricity from overhead lines.
All right, so I climbed up on top of the hill that's here. It can give you a better view of what they have on display in the yard here. You can see there, that shop that's back there is their preservation shop.
And they had a fireman on the other side which called out the signals. So they were quite used to operating longboat forward, and they thought it was safer. But it is no. Look at the face of this thing. That's no more safer if you hit a car than that is. So this was the last that
Sure
they
it
did.
is, 'cause the car's only this tall.
Hmm?
Car's only this tall. So.
Right.
Throwing off the rails.
Yep.
This had 1,500 horsepower and was made in 1952.
You said this is what's the GP7 you said?
Yeah, yes, this is a GP7, 1953, excuse me.
Yeah, because I know them as the RS units, because they have them down at Delaware Lackawanna down in Scranton, and they run a pair of these in tandem.
Mhm.
But I always know them as RS units. I never heard to it referred to GP7.
That is what EMD referred to them as. General purpose diesel locomotive number 7, and the model number 7. So that is a GP. That is a General Motors designation. EMD. Yeah, that's a cool for your number. EMD. Just an alcohol. But we will see a model of every diesel locomotive builder that the Reading did business with, which was everyone that FP7. This also has 1,500 horsepower, And these were the only passenger locomotives that the Reading owned. Exclusively passenger locomotives that the Reading owned. The back door contains a steam generator unit which generated heat and electricity for the following passenger cars. Prior to that, when they had steam engines, they would just run them piping down from the steam engine to the passenger cars. But the railroads thought this was the cheaper way to go, and this is why it has that extra door on it. This also has 1,500 horsepower and was geared to do 89 miles an hour, which back in the late 50s, 51, 52, that's pretty fast.
That's fast. Yep.
That's about what the Phoebe Snow ran across the Jersey Cutoff.
Oh, I've seen the Phoebe Snow.
Yeah.
I saw it. It is really, it was impressive.
One of the dining cars, one of the original dining cars.
Really? Now, where were you when you ate in the dining car?
Steamtown.
Steamtown, yes. Okay, yeah. This
that
one.
was Railfest in 2019.
No,
I'm
2017.
sorry. Yeah, 2019. They had it open in 2019 at Railfest, and then we also did a YouTuber meetup where our host rented the entire car, so we all got to. Yeah. So it was neat. Yeah. Stationary, but still, it just gave you that full effect of it. It was pretty cool. Like I was just literally just sitting there, like
dining on the train,
trying to make it seem like we're moving.
So why did Brennan put RSC-14 on this?
That was their own classifications.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because this is a GP30.
This is GP30. This was the first GP30 ever made.
Oh. No kidding.
Nice. We were just talking about GP.
Yeah, go hug it, Nick.
This was the first GP30 ever made. I remember when the Reading had bought this, and they had an open house at the Reading terminal.
Yeah.
I'm looking at the first GP30 ever made, and you know that's the diesel I love. Me and Nick are.
And they said in the notes, it's like, here it is. I just did a review on one of these, and here's its replacement. It's crazy.
Okay, so here's an Alco. It's our first non-EMD builder. And here's another Alco. This is an RS3.
That's ours.
This is a beautiful engine. Alco RS3. This is not one of the beauties. This is in really bad shape. And it was used in a mining company up in Canada. But originally it was a Reading engine, so they donated it back to us. This car is the LEM-2. And the LEM-2 stands for Locomotive Engineers Mobile Training Unit. This was always parked on track number 1 of the Reading terminal. And when I was a kid, you didn't have 2 cars in a family. If you had 2 cars in a family, you didn't belong in Orland. And so, you know, if you did anything, for example, my mother, when she went to the bank, would take us on the train, and we would go down 2 stations to Glenside, walk across the street to the Continental Bank. She would do her banking, come back across the street, catch a train back to Orland. Or if you had to buy clothes for school or Christmas shopping or anything like that, you went into Reading Terminal. And Reading Terminal was the place to go. And that was always parked there. I knew what it was. LEM-2 is for the locomotive engineers training when they came off the steam engines or when they were hired onto the railroad. They would be in this classroom. And I always wanted to go inside. My mother said, no, we don't have time. You can't go inside that. I never got in the inside of that until I started volunteering here. And
now you can go in all you want.
Now I can go in all I want. It is the coolest thing you ever wanted to see.
So you're going to take us in the show?
No, I'm not. I can't. But it is pretty cool. It has 2 simulators in it. It has an air brake simulator. It's a classroom. It is really the coolest classroom. Yeah, exactly. Exactly, that's what it is. Okay. There used to be the president's car. I think that's in the rail car preservation building. And that is another car that if you ever have a chance, and keep an eye on our website, because every so often we do have these cars open. This is well worth the trip, and the President's car is also well worth it. President's car was built in 1924, and it is exactly the way it was in 1924. Nobody ever did anything to it, except added a washer and dryer in the vestibule.
Nice.
Yeah. This is a baggage car. This is new. This is new. It's newly placed here. It's a box car.
Oh, I remember those old cars.
Yeah.
Yep, used to see them parked a lot down in Boyertown at the yard down there.
At
So
the yard in Boyertown.
Yep.
Yeah.
my great-grandfather worked for Reading, and that's where he worked, which is now the Coburnerdale
Yes.
lines.
Coburnerdale
Yep.
line, yes, yes. Okay, this is our caboose, and I stopped at this caboose for a reason. Two reasons. Number one, it's made out of wood, and it was made in 1942. The caboose we're going to go into was made in 1936, and you can see it's in a lot better shape than this. But it was made in made out of wood to save the metal for the war effort. The other reason why I stopped at this caboose is for here.
Yep.
That is your
Hot
journal
boxes,
box,
yep.
right? Yes. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And more. Now I'll tell you a hand signal for this is. It's not that bad, but it's bad. All right, let's see the hand signals. Here are the hand signals. Okay. Hand signal for a hot journal box by day is this. What's the guy doing?
Smoking a cigarette?
No, holding his nose.
PU.
Right, because they stunk.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
PU.
And that's what the cupola up top was for on the caboose, and we'll see that when we get into the caboose. That two guys sat up there, and two of the rear brakemen sat up there and kept the lookout for a hot journal box. Because inside this is there's a brass fit, but there'll be a rag, and the rag is soaked in grease, and that's what keeps that lubricated. When that does not, when the grease gets all burned off, it can heat up and break the axle, and then cause derailment.
What year is this one built?
1942.
42.
Yeah, 1942. Yeah.
See these all the time where I work.
Really?
They do nothing good. Oh yeah, they turn them into slugs. Usually.
Yeah, I was going to say.
Oh, really?
They clear them out and then pour concrete in them.
No
They leave the
kidding.
motors in them. This was GP38-2, right?
39-2.
39.
Yeah,
I was going to say, what's a CSX doing in Reading country?
They're all ex-Readings.
Yeah.
All X-rays,
Yep.
yeah. This was the last group of engines that the Reading bought before they went out of business in 1974, I believe. Again, that was a EMD unit, GP39-2. This is our oldest engine, and it's the one that pushes all the shit around.
Yeah.
It's 1947, EMD, 1,000 horsepower, 600-gallon tank. But look at the windows. And the reason why the windows are there is because before the advent of the radio, you had an engineer sitting up here, you had a brakeman here,
Yep.
and another brakeman there, and a third brakeman around the corner, relaying signals back and forth, hand signals. And that's the way they communicate.
Oh, wow.
Is there plans to make this back into a Reading unit? Or
Oh, absolutely. All these engines will
Okay.
be painted. Well, this one won't because that's its original color. But all these engines will be painted green and
the
yellow.
lights used to be in the Weldon.
Yes. Yeah. This has the train control, PTC.
Oh yeah.
It has PTC. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, there is PT. See on top there is the box for the PTC that they have
Did you guys
today.
get that one recently?
All right, so as we're walking around here a little bit, they're asking some questions, but I just want to show you this. If it comes up on the camera and see the grade coming up from down there, and what happens down there is Reading and Northern's line that interconnects with their lines here coming into the property. So anytime that they get cars delivered here, Reading and Northern delivers them on their line, which they said they deliver them for free. But also a note that, and I'm not quite sure where in reference is to where I'm standing here, but this line that's here was the old Pennsylvania Railroad that came through here. So I'm not quite sure where, if the original line is actually here. I'll have to ask our tour guide, see if he can point it out. I don't know if it's still here anymore or not, but this is a pretty deep, steep grade there. All right, so I did check with our tour guide and asked him where the old Pennsylvania line was in reference to where we're at. And right there it is. So that is the old Pennsylvania Railroad, and I'm going to walk down here to it. But this would have been it. And it would run straight back through there, back where the building is now. The other interesting thing that he pointed out, and you probably can't see it right now with everything grown, but right about over in there is where the Schuylkill Canal was. That came up through here to Port Clinton. Might have to come back up here in the wintertime, see if I can get some better shots of it, but that's where the canal would have been, just over in that area. All right, so we're gonna walk up here, and they're gonna take us inside of one of Reading's old cabooses. We're gonna go inside and check that out next.
A little soft.
You feel it right there. Somewhere in here. This is where they
Oh, yeah, it is.
For example, if you're in
Yeah, lead paint.
Pennsylvania and you just ran out of your 16 hours, you got to stop the train and come back here. This is the working section. There's 4 benches up here. They're not here now, and we will put the 4 benches back, but this is where the brakeman, the 2 rear brakemen sat and looked out over the train as it was rolling down the tracks, checking for hot boxes and what have you. Back here, where all the tools are, and there used to be a rag here that very clear. Very clear.
I was trying to say,
say.
the floor's moving. I was like,
Rocking the
move.
Nick, you're rocking the boat.
Which very clearly showed that what kind of rag that they used, and it was also a handy dandy Texaco hot box repair kit, which consisted of blocks of grease, and that's what they did. If there was a hot box detected, one rear brakeman would walk a mile back, put a torpedo on the track for any trains coming. Another one would walk up this side, and the head brakeman would walk down that side looking for the hot box. When they would pull that thing open, take out the rag, which was on fire, and put in a new rag and new grease. They could also do basic repairs and derailments. They could put the car back onto the track if it was a little derailment. If it's a big derailment, forget it. Okay, the next section is the third section is the living section, and this was the heat and was also the cooking section. And right up until they got rid of the cabooses, there were many conductors who were gourmet cooks, and they could cook up a meal that would knock your socks off.
Could they feed an army?
Being small.
Small army. A train army.
Six-man army.
Or rail crew army.
Right, rail crew army. And but back here you had where you washed up for dinner and your drinking water, and they could make coffee and what have you. Over here was where the conductor sat. This was his office, and he would fill out one of these cards, a waybill for each and every car that he had in his consist, and he would also fill out a card, for an empty car and a bad order car. He would fill out 2 cards for that and a couple of other things. But he also, his really important job is he would keep an eye on the air pressure up here in the back rear car, and it should be between 70 and 90. If it went below that, he had to find out why it went below that, probably because of the hose coming apart. Or if it went above that, he had to find out why it was too high. All that is well and good. They got rid of the cabooses. And they got rid of the cabooses and replaced them with
Fred.
Fred.
Yep.
Right. A flashing rear end detector.
Yep.
And what Fred would do is Fred would sit in the last coupler of the last car and hook into the air brake system, and then through that radio there, he would transmit to the engineer the constant. I have no idea. The constant air pressure of the car. They also have every so often 5 or 10 miles. They would have equipment detectors. Hot box detectors, but they also read dragging equipment, and they also excess height detectors. So that's how they got rid of the rear brakeman. You no longer had a rear brakeman. You no longer had a caboose. Now the crews were not terribly upset when they got rid of the cabooses because they are death traps. If you happen to be in the caboose and the train hits you from the back, I don't care if it's made out of armor. It's not. You're not going to survive it. You're going to be dead. The other thing is slack action. You all know what slack action is. Okay. 6 inches here, 6 inches there, minimum, so that the engine's traveling 100 feet on a 100-car train before that caboose even decides to move. And when he does move, boom, knocks people all over, and they have broken arms and broken legs.
Knocks your coffee over, burns
Knocks
you.
your coffee, yeah, burns you, yeah, you get
Knocks your food off the stove.
Yeah. It makes for a whole bad day. But that's why they got rid of the cabooses. And they weren't terribly upset about it. So the crews now go from 6 men down to 2.
Hopefully stay at 2.
And hopefully stay at 2.
Yeah, it's a bunch.
Yes. Believe me,
Yeah.
I wouldn't want to be out in the tracks. Where would I play? With a train. Although in England they don't even have headlights on the train. Because you're not supposed to be on the tracks. Yeah, if you're on the tracks, you're trespassing. But that's the way it is. Okay,
Well,
any questions?
here in the States, you're trespassing too, only if you get caught.
Yeah, only if you get caught.
Yeah.
The one thing, if you ever decide to steal an engine, the one thing that they can never get you on is stealing of property. Because you never took it off the property.
That's true.
They can get you on everything else.
That's if you know how to start a locomotive up from a cold start, because that is not easy.
No.
All the
it's not,
switches,
no.
Yeah.
and if you don't have that little key, you ain't going anywhere.
No, you're
Oh, you can't
absolutely
just pull
right.
the choke and turn the key?
No, it don't work like that.
No,
Unless it has a
that's
pull
true.
start.
Yeah, right.
I've seen them do a startup of a diesel locomotive from the beginning, and
Oh,
they're
it's
walking
awful,
through,
yeah.
flipping all these switches, put the key in, then you got to go back to the engine and prime it, and yeah, forget it.
Well,
I'd never be able to do
A
it.
lot of the times they leave the engines idle, and they just
Yeah.
take the throttle
Yeah,
and
we've
know
seen
that.
that out in Reading,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
They leave the little
Especially
switchers
Alcos.
running.
yeah,
Yeah, DL
Yeah.
and Scranton, they're running like 24/7 nonstop.
Are
They're
they?
sitting there idling.
right.
Yeah.
Probably never
The reason being is because the engines can't take antifreeze.
Yeah.
It voids the warranty. Now, why it voids the warranty, I don't know, but they cannot take antifreeze.
Wow.
I didn't know that.
I didn't know they could.
Yeah,
Didn't
straight
know that
water.
either.
So it's straight water in there.
Straight water.
Wow.
Oh, so you can't let it freeze.
Nope.
And
Right.
they shut it down, they gotta drain them out.
Yeah.
And there is a,
I've heard that.
because
I
my
didn't know
son
that.
worked at a place in Willow Grove that made a little valve that when the water gets below a certain temperature, the valve opens and drains
Drains
the
it out.
out.
Mm.
I've heard about that. It's
Yeah.
like 38 degrees, you're screwed. You
Yeah,
have to wait
yeah,
till water
that's
drop.
it. That's it, yeah. So I don't know why it does not take antifreeze, but they don't. It voids the warranty once you, if you put antifreeze
One
in.
down the street. Northern Central Railway is antifreeze.
So if it's out of warranty, it's game on.
That's right. Anything you
This
want.
is stuff I see is almost.
You can
So
see an
we're
old
gonna
critter.
hook it up,
It's from New York.
and use this
Has the
for
Conrail blue on it
for our
and the
turntable.
green.
It and that and one other car will fit on our turntable.
Yeah.
And we'll hook it up strictly battery powered.
Is this electric powered?
Yeah.
What was it used for?
Shuttle cars around New York Central, Grand Central.
Did you see this CR? New York Central? Conrail? And the Jersey Transit.
Spin around. Okay, the next one.
Jitterbug?
No, I'm
No,
going
Jitterbug
to.
set.
I'm not going to have you walk across, but see the orange engine over there?
Yes.
That is a Baldwin.
I'm walking.
Okay.
Mention the word Baldwin, they're walking. They're checking it out.
Okay. All right. We'll go over. Don't step on the rails. Step over the rails.
Gotta be like all the promotional videos on YouTube for these big railroads.
Absolutely. Over the rails. Over the rails. Okay. This is a Baldwin locomotive built in 1950, 1,000 horsepower. It is a DS4-4-1000. Again, built in 1950, Baldwin was out of business in 1960.
Yeah.
But they were the world's largest manufacturer of steam locomotives. Every country in the world had a Baldwin locomotive, steam locomotive. They tried to get into the diesel business, but again, it was a maintenance headache. They were unreliable, and working on them was a real pain in the neck. So, you know, they just couldn't give away the locomotives. So by 1960, Baldwin was out of business. Now, they were made in Ridley Park, Pennsylvania, Delaware County. Eddystone, right. There's
Power's still there.
the office building is still there. The headquarters is still there. And there's still operation going on, except it's owned by the Boeing Corporation.
Oh, no.
And what did they make there?
Planes.
Yeah, Osprey aircraft.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Don't work.
They
They're making trains.
They should stick the trains, right? Harlan and Hollingsworth. That's the steel.
You
It
know.
has two traction motors in it, a 550 and a 600 power traction motor, taking the power off the overhead line. And this was made in 1932 and ran until 1990.
Wow.
Yeah.
That ran for a while.
That ran for a while. And
1932 to 1990.
yes, and I've been on this 10,000 times.
Wow.
When they originally came out, I remember they had blue velvet plush seats that had a gear at the bottom that the conductor stepped on and turned the seat around, because on the Reading you never rode backwards.
Nice.
And that was a sales pitch for them. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Always
never,
moving forward.
Yeah, you always move forward on the Reading. Yes.
Nice.
All right, so this particular unit here, we can walk up on the deck here and take a peek inside the window. You can see what the cab looks like. Hopefully it'll come out on the camera, but there you can get a look. 3-seater, the conductor, and 2 brakemen, I believe.
In the cab of this GP7.
So hopefully this comes out that you can see the controls inside there. But maybe not. There you go. And I guess at some point during the year or in the past, I don't know if they use it anymore, but this, I guess, was a little ride for the kids here, which was the Munchkin Railway. And it was just a little train that went around the yard here, took the kids on a short ride. All right, so here you can see a different kind of rail classifications and how it got the name of the high iron. The more weight, the higher the iron got on it, but you can see all the different rail sizes and the classifications that went along with them. And the weight for it on the rail, for example, this one here was 90 pounds, so that would be 90 pounds every 3 feet. And you can see one of the old safes, most likely on one of the cars. And it even has on there, probably ain't showing up on the camera, but it's Philadelphia and Reading Railway Company, P&RRC. And here's some more architectural details from the Reading Terminal down in Philadelphia. And here's some more of the anthracite, which was big, that Reading hauled out from the coal regions, anthracite coal. There you can see the different sizes. All right, well, that is going to wrap it up here in Hamburg at the Reading Railroad Museum. I had a great time up here, a lot of stuff to see up here, a lot of information and everything. And like I said, this is well worth the time to come up here and check this place out if you haven't done it yet. Like I said, adults, it cost $7. I'm not sure what the kid prices are, but the kids would definitely love coming up here and seeing the model displays and walking around the yard and everything and checking out some of the old engines and cars that they have there. It is truly a great time, but again, they are only open on the weekends, and they have a website too, and that'll either be at the bottom of the screen or down in the description field. So I want to thank Jay from JP Videos, Jamie Macon, RJ78 Productions, and Nick from Nick's Crossing for joining up here and inviting me along as well. So, and again, the links to their channels will be down in the description field. So if you did like the video, please give it the thumbs up. Also hit the subscribe button down there if you want to be, if you're new to the channel, and the bell if you want to be notified when I upload new content to YouTube. So until next time, it's have a ball and do it all. We'll see you soon.